Now he
Yeah.
looks like him. Ah, am I on? Making sure I'm
Okay.
actually on Interiors Academy, right? Not on Sabine Rothman. Hi, Nick. Hi, Sarah. Okay, we're getting there. Hi, Nick.
Okay, I think this is working now. How are you,
I
Sabine?
think we've got Valentin here, and I'm here, and some people are here, and I might take off my glasses because I'm far enough away. Thank you so much for coming today, Valentin. The wind is
My pleasure.
blowing. It's a beautiful day
My
for a
pleasure.
talk.
Yeah, it's quite okay in Paris as well today.
Good. So, thank you. I think we'll just get started. I am so delighted
Whenever
today to
you're ready.
welcome. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're ready. All right. Thank you. Thank you everybody for coming to Interiors Academy. And I'm so excited today, delighted to welcome Valentin Goux of Rinck, a storied French interiors firm, which has been practicing interior architecture and design in various forms since the 19th century. Valentin has worked in media and in fashion, and then came to Rinck to restructure the group's communications and brand strategy, and has had great success there with business development. And I'm excited to announce, let's say this, that in July he will be appointed Rinck's president. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also,
You're
in
the
his
first one
busy
to announce it,
schedule.
actually.
Sorry?
You're the first one to announce it, actually.
Oh my gosh, thrilling. I should say it
Yeah.
again. And I'm
That's
also
great.
going to say that thank you in your busy schedule that you're making time to speak with us at Interiors Academy today, and also to become our French ambassador and conduct interviews yourself.
Absolutely,
So
with pleasure.
thank you. Welcome to the new president of Rinck.
Thank you very much. Very
Thank
kind to
you.
have me tonight.
It's quite, and so it seems like it's an honor and quite a responsibility to take something with such an amazing history forward. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to this company. I know you trained as a historian and a journalist, so what's the trajectory?
Yeah, well, how I came to this company is very simple. It's my father's company and my family company. But you're right, it wasn't meant to happen at all. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would take my father's step in the company, I would have loved. Like never. It was impossible. I really didn't want to work with my family. I wanted to do my own thing. So yeah, after high school, I studied history for a few years. I wanted to become a journalist, which I became, but in a very different field. Interiors. I was a political journalist, specialist of socialism in South America, which is very different from what I'm doing now. For a few years, I worked in Paris in magazines, but I became quite disgusted actually with the political world, and I first I thought it would be very interesting, and I would meet very interesting people, but actually in the end, not at all. I found our so-called elite to be very mediocre. So after these first years, I moved to London, where I decided to join the entrepreneur world, and I started my own company doing men's accessories, so pocket squares, ties, gloves, this kind of stuff. And actually, I was shifting back to the artisans world without seeing it, because I started working with the best artisans in Europe, in Ireland, in France, in England. But it was in fashion; it was something different. And then I opened with some friends also a big concept store in Paris and Bordeaux called La Garçonnière. And at that time, when I was living in London, my father asked me to help him a little bit with the communication of Rinck, because it was not something that he thought he could handle very well, because it was not his generation, Instagram, newsletters, all these sort of things. So I just started to help him a little bit, and basically he got me. After a few years, I found out that I really preferred working in the interior design world than in fashion, because fashion was becoming more and more something you throw away, seasonable, and actually season after season and new collection after new collection. In terms even of sustainabilities and of values, I didn't like it anymore.
Mm-hmm. And what you do at Rinck is certainly not disposable in any way. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the company, its history, and what makes it unique.
Well, the first thing that makes it unique is it's going to be 180 years next year, so that's something.
Okay.
And we kept really the way we are organized since more than a century. We are what we call in France an ensemblier décorateur. More famous names for you in America would be, for example, Maison Janssen used to work that way. It means we have both an interior design studio and our own fabrication workshops. So we have I have two large workshops specialized in millwork, wooden paneling, and also in furnitures. And I have my design studio in Paris. It means all of our projects are bespoke, and they're even bespoke in the way we approach it, because we can do only design, we can do only fabrication, and we can do both for the same project. So it's very different.
Mm-hmm. And you do both architectural interiors, millwork, for example, and furniture in terms of fabrication.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do all of that. We control more or less every aspect of the traditional French decorative art in our own workshops. So we work, bronze, wood, shagreen, marquetry, parchment. We can do lighting. We can do metal work in house as well. It's very large. It's more than 100 people in the workshops.
And I know that you started in the 19th century, but a lot of your the name really developed, and a lot of your archives are also from the Art Deco period. No?
Yeah, the company was created in 1841 in Alsace, northeast of France. So basically, in between 1841 and 1871, the company was doing furnitures of the style of that time. So Napoleon III, a lot of reinterpretation of the 18th century and Renaissance styles. So in 1871, tragically, Prussia invades France, annex Alsace and Lorraine regions. So the Rinck family leaves Sainte-Marie-aux-Mines in Alsace to come to Paris because they wanted to stay French. And so they arrived there, they settled in Paris, in Le Faubourg Saint-Antoine, which was one of the biggest production center for luxury goods for the entire world at that time. And well, we are still there after more than a century and a half. And so the fourth generation, Maurice Rinck, in the 20s, is a young man, and he convinced his father, Eugene, that something new is coming. It's not called actually Art Deco at that time. It's just called something new, I guess. They didn't know it was going to be something big, and it's like, well, maybe we should try that and not do only the 18th century reproductions. And his father trusts him, and Rinck becomes one of the first companies to go on this Art Deco discovery and make a big name with that. And so from the 30s to the early 70s, the company is very big and exhibit its furnitures every year at the salon, and do both production and interior design, and also actually antiques as well. We had an antique shop. It was called Rinck Rive Gauche, really 60s style, a bit like Yves Saint Laurent,
Oh, great.
And so yeah, the company worked like that for a long time, and then in the 70s, the entire luxury industry in Paris collapsed because of various reasons, and Rinck started to have problems until the 90s, and my father merged it with our own family company that he created in the late 80s in 2002.
And your father is an artisan, and a big part of this company, I think, is preserving that French savoir-faire. And so I wanted to talk to you about how you maintain, how you safeguard those French traditions and the artisans and the craft, and why. And then also how you move it forward. But I think first to talk about sort of what kinds of things you're doing in terms of training and initiatives to continue this tradition?
Yeah, well, when you think about France, usually you think that all of our know-hows are very well preserved, and the government is taking a lot of care about that, like in Italy. And it's true partly, but it's not true for everything. And there are many skills, many know-hows, which are becoming more and more niche. So it cannot really be taught anymore in the art schools. For example, I was talking about shagreen or parchment, this very Art Deco techniques. This is the kind of thing that we have to train in our own workshops nowadays. So basically, it's the older guys who are teaching the younger ones how to do it. And even in France, we have more and more difficulties to recruit actually young people and to train them. So actually, at the moment, we are thinking about creating a foundation to encourage young people to train in this type of career. And we find out actually that a lot of people in their 30s nowadays are switching careers, because they're tired of their daily bullshit jobs, and they want to do something more meaningful than just entering numbers in a spreadsheet and not knowing what they're doing at the end of the day. So we have more and more of these people asking us, and this foundation will be a great way to teach them actually.
Well, I think it's great because here, I mean, in the States, we have sort of this makers movement. And I'm right now in the Hudson Valley where it's very strong. And you find people who do want to do meaningful work in craft, which I think has brings together art, technique, and then also questions of sustainability, because I know everybody's very focused on creating things that will last,
Yeah, we have the same in France, and actually, some of our best artisans these days are this kind of young people who basically switch careers. They are much more motivated, and yeah, they're really excellent. And actually, to make sure that we attract only people who are really interested to this craft, we are thinking of making all the courses we will be delivering in our foundation something very professional and not too academic. It has to be about learning a trade that you're able to do at the end of the year, basically.
Well, that's very exciting. And Amelia says in the UK they have a list of endangered crafts. So I don't think we have that here, but that's so
well,
that's
exciting. In France, we don't have a list of endangered craft, but we have a list of what we call living heritage company, entreprise du patrimoine vivant. And so it's a label which is given by the Minister of Industry to these old names of French craft and luxury as well. So both of Rinck workshops got that label the year it was created in 2005.
And speaking of old names, I know that you have a pretty exciting new acquisition at Rinck, JCT. No, can you tell us about that
absolutely.
a bit? Absolutely.
So we just merged GCT Interior Design with our own design studio. It's a very interesting company because it was created in 1978. Basically after the collapse of Maison Janssen. So the last president of Maison Janssen was Pierre Desé. And so they were embarked on this big project for the Shah of Iran at the end of the 60s and until 72. Of course, the Shah of Iran never paid because, well, there was a revolution. And Janssen collapsed. And with a domino effect, actually, they made collapse half of Le Faubourg Saint-Antoine, which it was the neighborhood I was referring to earlier, because they were all subcontractors of each other. So everybody was working together. So Maison Janssen collapsed, and the son-in-law of the last president leave with 20 of his colleagues and create a new company, which is called GCT Interior Design, Jean-Claude Tenez. It works well for 20 years. His son follows, Stéphane, and And so this year, well, last year I met Stéphane, who's then the grandson of the last president of Janssen, and he was looking for a career evolution and making new challenges with his group. So I offered him to merge it with our own interior design studio, and Stéphane to join our group as my new COO as well. So actually, it just happened last week, and we are really, really happy about it. GCT brings us a very interesting clientele, a lot of very, very faithful customers in the Gulf region, actually, which have been working with the company for maybe 3 generations, which is absolutely amazing in our industry. Sometimes they work for the grandfather, the father, the son, the sisters. So it's really interesting. And Stéphane joined Rinck as a COO and bring a lot of his experience, which is very interesting for me as well. And we also acquired a lot of the archives of the company with it, and actually it's really amazing.
That is amazing.
A lot of things from Janssen. So we have a lot of furnitures, photographies, drawings, blueprints. It's really crazy. I'm going. And then my first passion as a historian comes back, and I'm going to spend half of the summer in the basement of Rinck just browsing the thing we have.
It sounds like heaven. It sounds like absolute heaven. So that's a dream project, and also it's interesting because Janssen must have, in addition to archives that deal with the interior design, also the furniture line. And I know you just came out with a great furniture line in Paris this year, which
absolutely. We launched the Félicité collection in January. As I said earlier, we used to have new collections every year, from 1920 something to 1972. And after the 70s, we stopped doing that. And in the 80s and in the 90s, and when I joined the company 6 years ago, they were still very shy about creating new collections and actually about doing any kind of communication. It was super old school, like, okay, let's not talk about us. The clients, they know they will find us. And I was like, no, guys, maybe they're going to find you for another 5 years, but these clients, the connoisseur clients who used to know the difference between Louis XV and the Louis XVI leg, they are disappearing, and the new clientele, it's out there. We have to find them. We have to explain them what we do. So one of the best way to do that was starting again to do contemporary collections each year. So that's why we created this first one. So it's contemporary, but it's educated, I'd say. It got references to our rich history because we wouldn't, just create from scratch, design from scratch. It wouldn't be us. So the first one was a dining room. We launched it in January during Maison et Objets in Paris. It was a big success. And of course, what's really interesting when we do this kind of project with us is we have the possibility of using both our interior design studio, who's designing it, and our fabrication workshops, which are making it. So everybody comes together, and it's really cool to see that. For next year, we are creating something even more ambitious because next year is our 180th anniversary. So I wanted to really something interesting to celebrate. So we are doing a smoking room, but which is stripped out of its traditional gender attribution. It will be a female smoking room, and something very hedonistic, a call to party, because that's what people need after COVID pandemic, I think. And yeah, it's really a cool project. We designed so many things, and I cannot wait to show that. Really
exciting. So did your thinking on that new collection change during this time, during the lockdown, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because at first we started to follow a path, and it was really the beginning. And then in March, we are all confined. And so after 2 weeks, exchanging on Skype and Zoom, etc., we were like, actually, guys, we cannot do like this didn't happen. It has to leave some kind of step, a footstep on the design. So we rethought the whole process, and we found a Greek goddess, which actually embodies the whole spirit of that collection, and we decided to start again around that mythological figure as a call to, you know, something which is very celebrating eternal youth and partying and, well, all this kind of hedonistic thing, because we really think that the world needs it right now.
Absolutely, and she deserves it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, clearly.
So to some extent, but
No, but
so
actually,
it's
you know,
a challenging time to take over a company, though. But in ways, it's also the perfect time because you have to examine what you're
yeah,
doing, right?
yeah. So I'm supposed to take over in 2 weeks. But my father 2 months ago called me and was like, Valentin, I know you're supposed to take over, but if you think now is not the time because of the pandemic and everything, I would totally understand it, and I don't want to force that into you. It's a very complicated time, and I was like, no, don't use it against me. Just leave it to me.
Leave it.
So no, actually, I'm very excited by it. These are difficult times, but this also are. Uh, I mean, it is in difficulties that you're able to make big changes, and that's what's needed right now. I think everything is evolving very fast around us, and it is a perfect time for a new generation. What's amazing also with this change at the head of Rinck is it's not only me. This was planned for 5 years, and for the last 5 years, I helped some of the youngest managers in the company to become top management. So I knew that when I would arrive at the head of the company, they would be around me, helping me as well, because I'm not a cabinet maker, for example, you know. So I need to rely on technical people who are sharing my vision of what our company future should be like.
That's exciting, really kind of training the next generation, and you're one of the next generation, and bringing everyone forward together. So
Absolutely.
quite an amazing thing. Do you
It's important. It's important because, as I was saying, Rinck has so many different trades in-house.
mhm.
It would be impossible for one person to know how to practice all of them. So I need to have very strong people in their fields with me.
Mhm. Well, I think one of the things that's come out during this time is how important collaboration is, and supporting each other, supporting people inside your organization and outside as well. So as a businessman, as someone running this business, what's your take on how the interiors industry contributes to society? And you'd mentioned thinking about how to make work that's meaningful for everyone, which is, you know, there's no easy answer certainly,
No,
but we
no,
can talk about it a little.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
frustration. It's a frustration when we are interior designers or craft people, and we do amazing job in our industry. A lot of it goes to private homes, which will never be open to public. And well, I don't know, 50 years ago or centuries ago, um, we used to make things for governments, you know, open to everybody. It was common good. Unfortunately, we don't have that anymore. So yeah, it's always something which is a bit a question to me. How do we help making everybody's life easier as well? Because it's not only the billionaires who deserve to live in a beautiful house. You can live in a beautiful small apartment as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a, yeah, I think there is a whole process to be rethinked there. But actually, moving also to doing new collections of furnitures every year is also some kind of an answer to me for me about that, because it gives us the possibility to impact more people. Because
Mm-hmm.
of course, what we do is expensive, but it's easier to buy maybe one chair or one, you know, bench or one table than to buy a whole interior by Rinck.
Mm-hmm.
You can save money and buy it when you really want to treat yourself. So and I'm trying to keep the prices reasonable if it's possible, and also to start to have something which are maybe less expensive. For example, the next collection we will have cushions, which
Mm-hmm.
will be at a very moderate price, even if it's all fabricated in France and everything, because I want the possibility to impact more people with our design, not only a few billionaires.
Well, I think it's also meaningful for the people making the work too. I mean, you're supporting craftspeople, paying them fairly, and allowing them a certain measure of creativity, which I also think has great value in France and beyond. I was going to ask, well, right before, we're going to talk quickly. I just have two questions from the audience to answer. One is, did the people at Rinck must have known René Lalique?
Yes.
And yes. So,
well,
yes.
not me personally.
Yes, but then, and
Yeah,
and Victoria asked if you work with VIA at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lalique, actually, we still work very closely with Lalique. We do a lot of the furnitures. A lot of the furnitures, like very high end from Lalique, are made in our own cabinet making workshop, especially the one designed by Pierre-Yves Rochon. So yeah, we are two old ladies of French design, and we keep on collaborating with each other, even if Lalique is much bigger than us, of course.
And there's nothing wrong with old ladies. We love them.
Not at all. It's
No.
I found it absolutely marvelous.
Absolutely.
And then VIA, yeah. If it's what I think it is, it's called Valorisation pour l'innovation dans l'ameublement. Okay. Maybe it's that, and it's a French association which has been created to help innovating in furniture design. So it's supported by the government, and it's really helpful. You know, it helps a lot of the young designers and the young craft people to meet and share their work and collaborate together. So it's a very interesting initiative that we've had for a while in France. It organizes also, you know, sessions in Milano, in everywhere around the world, and it's sponsored by Philippe Starck, of course, who's the godfather of French interior design. And I'm very proud also to be on the board of the organization, actually.
Congratulations on that as well. Well, that's great. I think it's amazing. It's sort of, you know, both government and industry coming together to support something that is part of the French heritage. Quite encouraging.
Yeah, we are not as good as the Italians in doing that, but we start, and let's hope it continues.
And you're ahead of some others. So
yeah.
Now, just to quickly shift gears, I want to say that, so you have all of this that you're doing, which is amazing, and you're generous enough to help us here at Interiors Academy by conducting interviews yourself. And on Wednesday, you will be interviewing Elliot Barnes, who's an amazing French-American architect and designer. So I want you to tell us a little bit about what to expect from that, just a little tease. And
yeah, well, it's really a pleasure to help you guys with this program of interviews. Not only because it's taking me back to my first job 10 years ago, so I feel a bit younger thanks to you, but also because I can help discover or rediscover amazing talents. Elliot is one of them. Is really one of the great in French interior design these days, and he's an American. He's from Los Angeles. Actually, I was just on a call with him before this to prepare Wednesday interview. We'll be talking about a few things, but of course, Elliot being an American living in Paris and working this year on projects in Düsseldorf, Tokyo, and Abu Dhabi, it will be a lot about, you know, international and working internationally.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, that will be really exciting for all of us to hear. So, well, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with us now and in the future. And thank you for the beautiful work you do.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Sabine.
It's such a pleasure. Right. And thank you everyone for tuning in to Interiors Academy. So look at Valentin's website, look in our feed for images of his beautiful work, and we will see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye, Sabine.
Bye. Thank you.